why investing has changed so much for me, especially early on in my career when I was working like a part-time job back then in second year university. That's when I came across Vanguard and Vanguard index funds or ETFs. This was largely thanks to my interest in Warren Buffett and Tony Robbins books and videos that I watched back then, and they would talk about investing and compound interest. So I really developed an interest or curiosity into that area, and that's where I started to invest a lot of my own money into Vanguard ETFs. And back then, Vanguard didn't have the UI and UX that it has nowadays. Like back then, it was super old school. I remember filling out papers for it and then, having to print the paper, fill out the form, sign it, and then send it somewhere. It wasn't online, so it was a lot more difficult back then than it is now. I remember just putting all of my savings into these ETFs and pretty much had no savings because it all just went into investments. And that did a lot of good for me because later down the track, years later, when I wanted to buy my first property, my first apartment, I was able to cash that out. Even though, I haven't invested for that many years, even during those few years that it was sitting in there, it did compound and grow quite a little bit. So that definitely helped. And it gave me enough for almost a 20% deposit for my first apartment, which was around $500,000 back then. Obviously, I had to get a loan from the bank, but that definitely helped me pull through because I was really bad at saving money. I would spend most of my money just eating out with friends and, going to K-barbecue and all that, getting soju. So a lot of wasted money back then, but I'm grateful that investing in ETFs kept me through or kept me going. And I think this is why it's so important, especially for like the younger generation or the younger people out there, to start earlier, because compounding interest grows exponentially. So the earlier you start, the earlier you get to go on that exponential trajectory. So starting early is super important. So if you're not doing it now, just go check out Vanguard or go check out other ETFs like the S&P 500 and just, put a tiny bit in. If you don't know how much to invest, just put, I don't know, $100 a week or something really small that you can just kind of let go and not think about. It's really not that much in the long run. If you're having coffees and eating out every day, can you cook at home and sacrifice a bit of that eating out just to that money aside into ETFs or into some kind of investment so that in the future you will thank yourself for that. So yeah, just something to think about.